guys. How you going?
Hi.
Mr Hauser, I know you're new to the RBA. I'm just curious, have you got an opinion on the management of monetary policy throughout the COVID period, where the RBA panicked and literally dropped interest rates to 0.1%, printed $300 billion to pay people to stay at home, get brainwashed by the premiers, and then jacked interest rates up 14 times or 13 times in about 18 months? I mean, it was hardly the actions of a measured response, was it?
I hesitate to give a detailed answer to policy decisions that I wasn't studying closely, but I do recognise, I mean, maybe removing some of the extremes, but I do recognise the story you describe, and many central banks had the same experience. Whether it was
well, they created the experience, didn't they, by panicking?
Absolutely fair challenge.
Yep.
That in retrospect, some of the policy decisions that were made, not just in Australia but elsewhere, may have had consequences for the outlook. I think it was not easy to know that at the time.
I did. I mean, I posted the other day text messages I sent to Minister Cormann at the time, the Treasurer Josh Frydenberg, the Prime Minister. I said we're going to cause inflation for the next decade, but I was ignored. Do you think really the whole concept of the RBA being independent is nothing but a smokescreen, and really that at the end of the day the RBA is a puppet of the politicians? Which it should be, by the way. I actually think that the RBA should report to Parliament, but I think the whole independence...
As we do. And I think you put your finger on the challenge. Independence cannot mean you're just operating in isolation of society.
Yep.
The whole remit for central banks only makes sense if it has social support and public support, and ultimately through this Parliament and people like you. The moment that support is no longer there, central banks do not and should not have a role, because we're unelected officials with enormous power. That is why the Act sets out our powers, and the Statement of the Conduct and Monetary Policy, as you know, which can change, as we were discussing earlier, sets parameters for our operations that are set by politicians and ultimately by you. And I completely agree with that. I think we must be accountable. We must explain ourselves, and any rights we have to set policy is contingent on doing a good enough job.
Thank you.
Authorised G. Rennick People First Chermside.